Is Lewis Hamilton as good as his statistics make him? Hello, my fellow Formula One enthusiast. In today's video, I'd like to take a look at Lewis Hamilton's career so far, to answer the question, is he as good as his statistics make him? Or is it just due to the Mercedes dominance? The Formula One career of the seventh-time world champion began in 2007, when he was promoted to McLaren after his GP title win in 2006. McLaren decided to go into the 2007 season with an all-new driver lineup. The fresh-to-time world champion Fernando Alonso joined the team after dethroning a certain Michael Schumacher. The plan of Ron Dennis, team principal and McLaren CEO at that time, was pretty clear, with Alonso as their new number one driver, and Lewis as their exciting young driver to support Fernando. Oh boy, nobody expected what we witnessed that year. In his very first F1 race, Hamilton showed the world what he was made of, with an impressive start where he managed to overtake his teammate, and a podium finish. In his first 9 Formula One races, Hamilton managed to finish every single one of them on the podium. Yeah, I know what's coming now. His car was so good, but name me a rookie of the past years that would have been able to be this consistent and quick in their first Formula One season, against at this time the best driver on the grid in the same car. After this intense year fighting Alonso, not to mention the Spygate scandal, Lewis made one mistake that cost him his first F1 World Championship in his rookie season. In China, he lost the car at pit entry onto the gravel, and wasn't able to get out of it. He and Alonso missed the title by only 1 point. In the following year, Lewis managed to win the title. Alonso left the team and his new teammate Heikki Kovalainen wasn't a real threat to him. In a real thriller on the last race in Sao Paulo, the 7-time world champion secured his first title. 2009 was a year to forget for McLaren. The car wasn't able to win a championship, but Lewis managed to get a win out of that car. In 2010, he got a new teammate in Jenson Button, the newly crowned F1 champion. Again, Lewis faced a world champion in the same team, and was able to beat Button except in 2011. In his last season at McLaren, which was in 2012, Lewis and Jenson were robbed by their team to have a real say in that year's title fight due to bad strategies, awful pit stops as well as reliability issues. Ross Brawn, at that time team boss of Mercedes, and Niki Lauda noticed the rising frustration of Hamilton over his team. They managed to convince him to join them for the following year. In 2013, Lewis made a bold move to leave McLaren for Mercedes. McLaren was able to fight for a title in 2010 and 2012. They even won the very last race in his last year. Many experts and fans were questioning Hamilton's decision, because Mercedes at that time was more midfield team than a title contender. In the first couple of races, the Brit silenced his critics and doubters. McLaren decided to change their car philosophy, which was a huge mistake because they fall back into the midfield while Mercedes was able to get several pole positions that year and were clearly the second best team on the grid. His trust in Mercedes and the vision of Niki Lauda should pay dividends when Formula One entered the hybrid era in 2014. Mercedes showed up with a car that was so dominant, after half of the race was over, most of the grid's cars were lapped. His only real rival for the world title was his teammate and childhood friend Nico Rosberg. Rosberg was able to drag the battle until the very last race, where Lewis won, while Nico, due to a reliability issue, finished in 14th position. The following year's title fight was pure dominance by Hamilton, where he secured the title with 3 races to go. But things would change in 2016. Nico was able to win the last 3 races in 2015, and the first 4 in 2016. He gained momentum. Not only that, he started mind games with Lewis, was more aggressive than before. Nico also approached a Japanese Zen master to improve his mental strength. An example of Nico's determination is the 2016 Japanese Grand Prix. Rosberg, as he tells the media after his pole, has stopped training his legs, because this made him lose weight, which gained him a few thousandths of a second per lap. The last time someone was able to push Hamilton every single race was probably Alonso in his rookie season. The peak of this intense rivalry was the Spanish Grand Prix, where Lewis and Nico crashed into each other in the first lap. This wasn't the first time these two got into each other. The preparation and total focus of Nico, plus Hamilton's unlucky retirement in Malaysia due to an engine failure, lost Lewis the title in 2016, despite trying everything he could in the last race, such as backing Nico into Vettel and Max by driving slow at the front, or ignoring his team's orders to pick up the pace. With new aero rules, wider cars and tires, a new challenger showed up in 2017. Ferrari and four-time world champion Sebastian Vettel. His new teammate Valtteri Bottas had more of a supporting role, which was probably intended by Mercedes boss Toto Wolff after these years of very high and sometimes too aggressive competition between his two drivers. In 2017 and especially 2018, Lewis and Mercedes have shown why they are the undisputed champions of Formula One for years. While Ferrari was cracking under pressure at the end in 2017 by several strategic mistakes and reliability issues, the Silver Arrows were the complete opposite. Their cars were just bulletproof, mistakes from the team nearly non-existent. Hamilton made strategies work many others didn't thought of, made no mistakes and was bloody quick. In 2018, where Ferrari had a slightly faster car over the season, Sebastian made several mistakes while the two Mercedes drivers used every opportunity Ferrari gave them. Sadly, Lewis Hamilton's last two world titles were won without a real fight. Neither Red Bull, Ferrari or his teammate were capable of fighting against Hamilton over the whole season. After reviewing his career so far, can we say Lewis is the greatest of all time? I wouldn't say so, not because of his driving skills, but because I believe every generation and era of Formula One has its special drivers. It is just impossible to compare drivers from different eras, because there are so many factors that play into a comparison. Is Lewis Hamilton the best of his generation? Absolutely. He managed to be in the right car at the right time, had several world champions as teammates and was most of the time quicker and more consistent than them. He barely does mistakes, showed astonishing performances over the years, like his drive in Turkey last year, his most recent race in Bahrain in 2021, or his 2014 thriller in Bahrain where he managed to beat his teammate who got fresher and faster tires, to name a few. To answer the question of the beginning of the video, is Hamilton as good as his stats suggest? I think so, even though the fastest car made him break several records, which probably in a more competitive field nobody would have broken. But I think you can't hold this against Lewis. His statistics are to some degree thanks to Mercedes. But someone has to drive the car and bring home the victories and poles. Do you agree? Leave a comment. Bye.